Hello everyone and welcome to the TFT Podcast, aka Too Fucking Tired. My name's Zill. I'm exhausted. How are y'all doing this week? I'm joined by my illustrious co-host, Kay Libra. How are you doing, Kay Libra? Okay, that's good.
Like that.
That's good. Amazing.
Are we all too fucking tired?
Yes, on this blessed week, we are all too fucking tired.
Thank you all to our patrons who don't make it so that we have to worry about not saying fuck in the first 8 seconds of the video.
I wouldn't make it through recording anything without saying the word fuck. There's no...
No, I mean, anyway, YouTube is stupid with their shit. Fix your shit, YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube sucks. If you'd like to help support us be tired and make podcasts, you can support us at patreon.com/TFTuesdayPod. We have incredible unreleased content on there, like me yawning really loudly and us singing What's Up by the Four Non-Blondes. So if you want to see that and support us and feed us pizza, go to patreon.com/TFTuesdayPod and support us there because it's great.
Pizza is pretty good talking fuel. It's good fuel in general. It's lots of calories. Calories turn into energy, and the energy in us are little lightning bolts that could fry people. Isn't it awesome?
Sure. It's pretty good.
Parasite Eve is fun.
Parasite Eve is fun. Well, now that the mandatory plug is out of the way, we're joined today by a very illustrious guest, returning guest, the extraordinary, exquisite, very famous, very fancy Cameron. How are you doing, Cameron?
Pretty good. I feel like I just got overhyped.
Well, you've been on the show 3 times. It's pretty illustrious, I would say.
I guess that's true.
Yeah.
Well, now you'll have to have a pay-per-view match where both of you just fight for some kind of title. I'll make one up.
Yeah. Well, let me give you a little peek under the hood to make you feel even more special. If you remove season 1 from this number, your episode is the second most listened to episode of all the episodes we've made. So
yeah. I'm a silver medalist.
Yeah. Sorry, Anger Boda beat you. So.
Oh, that's okay. That's totally reasonable.
Yeah. But yeah. So yeah, pretty special.
All right. So now that we're here and we're too fucking tired to talk,
we're not too tired to talk. We're definitely not too tired to talk. I'm too tired to lean forwards while talking. There's a difference.
All right. Enjoy that then.
But yes, now that we're here to talk, we've had some pretty heavy segments over the past few episodes, and we're going to have more, don't you worry. So I figure we actually start off with a palate cleanser. And I'd like to talk about Eevee and eeveelutions, because we all have our own opinions about EVs and eeveelutions, and in particular within the context of transformation. But I figured it would be a good kind of amuse-bouche to talk about which eeveelutions are the best and why. So I don't know, Cameron, I know you have very strong feelings on this. Maybe you'd like to share with us your thoughts about EVs and eeveelutions. I'm
assuming that this all has to do with people turning into them too,
right?
Yeah, say it to make it official.
I said it because we're talking about TF2. Why are you on my ass? You're supposed to be tired too. Shut the fuck up. Okay, Cameron, go.
They're all the best. Asshole. However, Jolteon is the most the best.
Okay.
Most the best.
The most the best. Why?
Okay, so I liked Jolteon the most for a long time because I thought he was the most unique.
Uh-huh.
I've been with Pokemon since Gen 1, and when the original 3 came out, I thought Jolteon was the most creative in how they did it, because you look at Flareon, he's like, okay, he's fluffy, and Eevee's fluffy, and he shoots fire, and it's like, literally every fire Pokemon does that. He brings nothing new to the table.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty cool that Vaporeon can turn invisible and kind of melt. I don't know of another Pokemon that can really do that, though several can learn Acid Armor, which kind of does that, is in the description.
Yeah.
But Jolteon's the only lightning Pokemon you can't touch because he decided to use the static electricity to make his fur too spiky. And he also kind of shoots at his little electric needles. It's kind of like a unique, interesting way to weaponize electricity.
Right. It does have that.
It's so cool. Like, Pin Missile sucks, so I wish they would just give him a move that does the same thing but is electric type, so he at least gets the stab bonus. But it's so cool.
That is pretty cool.
So I think he's the most creative, at least of the initial trio. And then, I don't know, Espeon's not fluffy, so that's not a very good win. Though he is the most, I guess, different from the rest of them because he's very cat-like, whereas the rest seem to be more dog or sometimes rabbit-focused almost.
Yeah.
And Umbreon, Glowing's pretty cool, but he's just kind of a fluffy guy who grows. But also, most people don't seem to ever include it. His Pokedex entry says he shoots a noxious gas or like a stink, almost like a skunk.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's super cool. But also, it says that he's a nocturnal animal who's constantly hunting in the night, and glowing would be a really bad idea for any mammal doing that.
I guess that's true. That's
so it's just like, oh, I'm over here, and like most mammals haven't adapted to go towards light. They would see light and move immediately away from it. It's not like having to attract food in the dark ocean depths where the food could be very far away from you. So it's still cool, but it just doesn't make sense. And then you've got Leafeon. Leafeon's cool.
Leafeon?
I like Leafeon. What?
The pronunciation.
Leafeon is cool.
Yeah, Leafeon.
That's fine to say Leafeon. I say Lugia.
Yeah, that's because you're wrong.
That's because Lugia sounds like a booger.
Why do you have to go there?
Because that's what it sounds like.
Well, that's just your opinion, and it's incorrect.
Sorry, Loogie is a loogie.
I always name my muck Loogie.
There you go. 1 point for me.
Okay, so yeah, we're talking about Leafeon.
Leafeon. Leafeon is great because plants are really cool, but he also doesn't really bring much to the table as far as like, oh, he can photosynthesize like every other grass type Pokemon can.
Yeah.
I get that they needed contrast, but why is he like yellow beige? He looks like wilty grass.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Like grass after the snow melts.
Yeah.
You could do so much with plants and they didn't do much of anything.
There's a lot of potential there, and they didn't quite live up to it, but he's still really cool. And then Glaceon, I like his hat with the dangles, but otherwise it's just diamonds, which is kind of weird because hexagons are the shape of ice.
Yeah. And
then he's just kind of light blue, and he doesn't have a collar like all the rest seem to.
Well, that would have been cool, like a scaly hexagon pattern over the skin.
Yeah.
That would have been cool.
Or give him a scarf. If you're giving him a hat because he's cold, give him a scarf too, and keep that fluffy collar going.
If he's cold, if you're cold, he's cold. Let him in. You know.
And then Sylveon's amazing.
Flesh ribbons.
Yeah, the flesh ribbons. Don't know what they're like. Don't know where they come from. I always find drawing TF of Sylveon kind of difficult because, like, do they just pop out of nowhere, or do I make the fur into a bow tie?
Yeah,
Pokemon.
But it's super cool.
Fucking ideas. This is why I love alternative art for Pokemon. Because then you have to rationalize some of this shit or rethink how some things work, and then you get a really cool idea. And so I haven't even begun to think about why the flesh ribbons would be what they are, unless it could be, ooh, okay, so let's jump off of what we were talking about before. Imagine if Sylveon is more like a displacer beast.
Okay.
Now that could be fun.
That would be fun.
And, you know, I could imagine like a couple of tendrils just kind of coming off the back, and they kind of, you know, float around almost like they defy gravity, but if you take a close look at them, maybe they got like cilia or little like spines or some shit.
God, yeah.
It's like, oh, you're so cute, and it's just like, and then just trap you.
I mean, Sylveon's got some weird dex entries where they imply that it is very sensitive to emotions and can kind of manipulate emotions a little bit, but also that it's very predatory.
Yeah, it looks like
Gaslight Gatekeep Girl Boss. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, I guess so. This just goes into another guest that we've had on before, Colonel Ben. Anytime a fairy had come up when they were new, it was like, never trust a fairy, don't trust fairies. Because, for anybody who isn't aware, yes, in some good old classic folklore, fairies are terrifyingly manipulative and cunning.
Yeah.
So just because they're little things that tee-hee and they seem very nice, don't ever trust them. They can destroy you.
This is true.
You know, that's why Gardevoir gets to be a fairy now.
That's also true.
Mm-hmm. It creates black holes. I know lots of people know that. You hate Gardevoir?
I hate Gardevoir.
Why?
Because it just seems like it's there, and people like it because it looks like a woman.
Yeah, it's
yeah.
And where does the black holes come from? It like literally never mentions that except sometimes in the Pokedex, but then it never works on that, or there's no attacks based on it. It just seems. And why would like being in tune with your trainer give you the ability to create black holes?
Why? Because they didn't think about it.
That's Pokemon in a nutshell.
Okay, I can give a reason as to like I've thought about Gardevoir because it's one of the most seemingly nonsensical things in the fucking world.
Does it have legs?
It does have legs.
Okay.
It's
almost like sometimes it looks like the coat thing or the dress thing.
It's got a flesh dress.
Oh, we love a flesh dress.
Just like there's flesh ribbons, there's flesh dress, and that's what Gardevoir has. Now, I know we're talking about the Eevee
Let's
things,
get back to the good boy.
If anybody wants to hear my thoughts on Gardevoir, we can do that another episode.
Yeah.
Leave a comment.
But so in conclusion, we've gone over, Cameron, your takes on all of the evolutions. So you said Jolteon is your favorite. Now, is that also, in your opinion, the most TFable of the evolutions?
I think they're all actually very applicable for that.
Okay.
I think one of my favorite things about the Eevees is that everybody's got an opinion on them and they like their favorites and they have good reasons. I don't think any of them are bad in any stretch, as much as I might like to say or tease. I think they're all wonderful in their own way. And we didn't talk about Eevee yet, but he's just a perfect fluffy boy. Yes. And I would like to see more attention paid that it says his face changes to match his trainer.
Yeah.
He naturally TFs because his genes are weird.
Yeah.
Which would be crazy.
So
I'd love to see an
me.
Eevee with a beard and a
oh my
nose
god,
or something.
Well, it's not even just that. It's just the subtle things. Just imagine one day, little by little, you're looking at it, and maybe you're thinking that it's no big deal. Like, oh, that's just the way it looks. Maybe you live in isolation. You take this little guy to a Pokemon Center one day, and the nurse looks at you and looks at your Pokemon, and is like, what?
So what have you done?
Oh god.
Or you get like a Facebook memory, and you're like, oh, it's a picture of Eevee when I first got him. He looks so much different.
Yeah.
Why does he have my face? He's stealing my identity.
Oh god.
It's like a little sphinx of you.
Oh my god, if he started saying your name.
Oh god. I think I might pass out if that happened to me.
That would be really funny.
Or better yet, just start talking, but has your voice.
Yeah.
Enjoy that thought. Eevees are fucking weird. And knowing that they're genetically unstable, that's why I was so disappointed when only 3 of the stones worked on them in the first generation.
Yeah. They fixed it later.
I'm glad they did.
Yeah.
I want a ghost type.
And we need a steel type. Let's see, steel type Eevee, ghost type,
Poison
Hit him
type.
with a brick.
poison type. Hit him with a brick?
Yeah.
For a rock type?
No, for a ghost.
Oh.
I think it would be really cool if you had to get like friendliness up to a certain level and then let him faint in battle in the graveyard like area, and then he would evolve.
Damn.
That would be so cool.
No, that's some Gen 1 thinking. You can't have that anymore.
Yeah, you can.
No, it's illegal.
They don't go that hard anymore.
We need a
They
bug
have one
type.
where you have to like flip the fucking DS upside down.
No, that's goofy, but it's not like contextual to the story, to something.
We're getting off track.
Pokemon is something to dig really deep into, and that's why it's easier to make an episode on just this bullshit.
Yes, but I'm enforcing the rules, so you tell us your thoughts on the evolutions.
Okay, so I haven't really thought about them too much. Vaporeon is my favorite. Everybody laugh. It's been my favorite since the beginning. Mm-hmm. I do like the whole acid armor gimmick because at the time it was the only one that could do it, and it sounded cool. The idea that armor is coating your body, that if you were to strike it, it would probably burn a part of you off, so that's why it's a great boost to your defense.
It's pretty metal.
Oh, so you can't touch him. Jolteon!
I don't care. Yeah, being able to melt into the water, I like the whole melting shtick. Talked about that with Alex Mack.
Drink him.
Actually, there's this little gif where this person's playing hide and seek with all the different EVs, and Vaporeon is just hiding in a water bottle.
Oh, yeah.
It's really cute.
It's very good.
Also, something that did you know that Vaporeon is supposed to be able to purify water?
He's light version Suicune.
Yeah. So you got your
that actually, there's that like urban legend that the mystical dogs are based on the resurrected original Eevee trio.
Yeah.
That actually kind of lends some credit to it.
It does, actually.
That's pretty funny.
That's good.
All of them that wish they could do more now can.
Yeah.
They died at the grave of Ho-Oh, and they got, and now they are dogs for sure. Which means I guess they're all dogs, if that's what you want to say.
Well, all dogs go to heaven, so.
And then become God.
Yes.
All
get caught by a 10-year-old.
Yeah, basically.
God holders. But yeah, I think Vaporeon is a great companion to have. I think it would be really cool
wink.
Because if you need water,
you gonna drink him? Drink Vaporeon, or are you gonna make him use water gun?
All right. So you know what? I don't have to talk about any of the other ones.
Why am I coming down too hard?
Because I don't need to keep. How much longer am I going to go on talking about Vaporeon? Anyway, fuck it. Let's move on to the next one.
Okay.
Flareon is the one that I like next because I do like the fluffiness. I know that it's like, it's just doing what Eevee does, but it looks like a little fireball to me, and I like that. It's like extra rabbit fluff.
I like his hairdo.
Yeah.
Yeah, the hair is cool.
It's cute. Though you can't really touch that one either.
No, you can't.
Jolteon was fine, and the funny thing is, as much as you like him, I'm kind of like, oh, okay. I thought Jolteon was the easiest to use of the three, though. I find Jolteon to be really strong, because it's fast, and it can hit first.
All you need is speed and special attack, and you just sweep everything.
This is true.
Yeah, that's it. That's all it was. So I thought to myself, I love Vaporeon, but Jolteon is what I'll take in the battle almost every fucking time. But I could probably make Vaporeon work now. It's
It's a great special wall.
It's a little tank. Let's see. Espeon and Umbreon. I do prefer Espeon because it just looks really interesting. I like the alien look that it has and the black eyes and everything like that. I just like how weird it looks. I like some weird shit. Let's see.
Have you ever seen that art of him depicted as a Sphinx cat? Where he's like naked and that's kind of why he's that color.
I think no.
It's so wrinkly. And he's got the little gem in his head in the wrinkles.
I feel like I've seen that. But yeah, I'd like that. I'd like a weird Sphinx cat and Goblin Kitty.
That makes me like him a lot
powers.
more. As a Sphinx cat.
That's really funny.
I mean, why not? The Pokemon are so plastic, you gotta apply your own logic to them anyway. Just like Umbreon, which Umbreon, because of the way they draw him, I always think to myself, it's got these like fucking swells coming out of his head instead of ears. Like they're just round pylons or some shit.
Yeah.
I don't know. Umbreon's okay. I didn't understand the point of Umbreon. Seriously.
You wound me, sir.
I didn't. I like it more now after seeing it in media, but when I saw it in the games, I'm like, it's black because nighttime, and then I don't get the circles, and like I didn't
like the moon.
I didn't know what it was trying to tell me. Well, the moon is usually like
it's like an eclipse,
solid circle,
like an eclipse.
Like an eclipse sometimes, but when you have the full moon, it's a solid circle instead of a ring.
The one that
no, I
gives
know,
off
but it's
light
because
is
there's
the full moon.
Yeah, but like you have the ring of the moon, and then it's the eclipse, so something's blocking it. So you only see the outline, the penumbra, like Umbreon, Umbreon, penumbra.
Okay,
that's where it comes from.
Okay, cool.
So there's actually a thought process behind it.
All right, well, that was the first time it's actually ever been explained like that to me.
You should have asked sooner.
Because you like Umbreon.
Yes,
so
I
much.
do like Umbreon.
Spoiler alert.
The more you know.
Okay, and then they came out with
Leafeon and Glaceon.
Yeah, and Sylveon. Sylveon, I was thinking, what in the hell? They just made friendly the Pokemon and gave it a little dark twist. No, really just like fans gave it the dark twist, and I just grabbed onto that and I never let go. Sylveon is fine. It's just weird, and I'm thinking to myself, all right, fine. You hit it on the head. It's a Pokemon that's about friendship. Cool. But it's also a fairy, so call back to what I said about fairies. So that's funny.
But like, I get what you're saying, but to say that is like saying Jolteon's a Pokemon based on lightning, Leafeon's a Pokemon based on grass, Glaceon's Pokemon based on ice.
I like the idea that if you expose them to something that could fuck with their genetics...
Love!
Yeah.
The power of love.
Well, I guess if trauma can fuck you up. Where's our...
Ghost type.
Where's our... Yeah, that's the ghost type.
Be horrible to your fucking...
that could be fighting type.
Actually, wait, here. Because this is a mechanic that may come back. Actually, no, that still exists pretty much. Just don't feed your Eevee.
Oh, God.
Yeah, there you go.
Jeez.
Don't give it any food. If it's like the sandwiches or the Pokepuffs, there you go.
Why
You
did
got
this
your
get
ghost
so
type.
dark?
Because we're trying to make a ghost type, and we started dark.
Oh, God.
And I bet you anything that would be how you get away with it. Don't feed your Eevee. What?
This is supposed to be the light segment before the happy egg topic.
It's a gremlin.
I mean, ghost types anyway. Pokemon is not for children.
You skipped over Glaceon and Leafeon.
I was going to get to them because I'm going to them in order of like how I remember their releases.
Sylveon came out last.
Sylveon came out last because I don't fucking... I stopped following Pokemon a long time ago.
Okay. I'm just keeping you honest.
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
Honest,
Continue.
like I'm trying to lie.
Just
Anyway, Leafeon, whatever. It's like they took bay leaf and attached it to an Eevee.
Wow, that's okay.
He's
Fair
got
enough.
roots, though. Got little roots on his paws.
Oh, you just plucked
Bayleaf
it.
doesn't have roots.
I know those are pretty.
But you're
pretty
absolutely correct.
tasty. That was a pretty good roast, I gotta say.
It's just to put the leaf on its head. Again, you can do so much with plants.
Mm.
Tail's cool.
I guess so. I think of the other Eevees, and I think of the radical changes that they have, and how, that's reflected. But Leafeon just got some leaves.
Mm. And Glaceon.
You couldn't put a little pattern. And Glaceon, I thought, well, I guess it looks like it's got ice. It's fine. They're fine.
You can tell it's ice because it's light blue.
Yeah, that too. I got that impression. The way Pokemon are drawn doesn't allow for a lot of creativity sometimes, ironically. I guess if they want to go with some other stuff, I don't want to get too pedantic about it. The point is, they're all generally okay. You can make really cool stuff about any of them. Vaporeon is one that I still like, even though a lot of time has passed. Because Charizard used to be my favorite. Now I'm so kind of whatever about it. Yeah. Gooey, shiny, flowy things. So, yeah. Vaporeon's got those things for me.
And that would be your pick for TFing into as well? Or would it be a different one?
I had to turn into one. Yeah, sure, why not? It's the one I like. If I had to... let me see. Secondary pick would probably be... probably Espeon.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's solid.
Yeah. What about you?
I mean, as I kind of alluded to, Umbreon's my favorite big fucking surprise. But I'll go through them in order. I think when it comes to the original three, I think Jolteon is the one that interests me the most. Not only because of its benefits in fighting and how it always gets to go first. It's a very fast boy. I also just like how the tail is just a spiky mass instead of an actual tail. That's adorable.
But he does have a tail.
He does, but it's just a spiky mass, which is great.
It's like a porcupine. It's got the fanning spines in the back.
And I dig that. I really dig that. I am not terribly interested in Vaporeon, I'm sorry.
It's fine.
But
he's got the biggest tail.
He does have the biggest tail, and I gotta give him points for that.
And it's got the fluke on it.
Yeah. Also, he's still pretty decent. I say I'm not a big fan, but he's actually still pretty decent, both in terms of utility and in terms of design. I like Flareon. I wish I could pet Flareon. I cannot pet Flareon because that would burn me.
I'll admit.
But yeah, I guess I'll admit. He's a good boy. Then Umbreon. So Umbreon's the best one for a few reasons. First off, Umbreon is clearly the edgiest one because he's all black, and I'm immediately yes. The MCR lives on in me, and I'm yes, black.
You ever see that? You ever see this little comic? Somebody was like, "Oh, I wanted an Umbreon because I always thought of its cool loner type image." Yeah, and then it's just the one I actually got when it's just it wants attention and it's sensitive and it's and it's help me, feed me, and it's oh my god, you're adorable and you're a little fucking baby.
Yeah, I love both of those things. I love all the moon imagery, as I have previously alluded to. I really like the red eyes. The red eyes are great. Very fucking cool, in my opinion. I don't care if it doesn't necessarily make biological sense. I just think it's neat.
What? Sense?
What?
I don't even know why biological sense went.
Well, no, because we were talking about the hunting thing before. It wouldn't work because it's glowing and stuff.
If you're a nocturnal mammal and you want to hunt, glowing is a really bad idea.
Yeah. Well, wait a minute. One of its moves is mean look, which it uses to its advantage.
Oh, he's cruel.
Oh, I guess that's true.
Keeps it there and then
so
if
you can notice it and lock eyes with it and it can give you the mean look, you're in trouble.
I guess that's true. No, that's a good point.
So it's deliberately drawing attention to itself so that it can mean look you?
Yeah. And you can't escape.
That's
Ooh,
interesting.
I didn't even think of that. That's good.
Yeah.
Also, Umbreon is a fucking tank. Just constantly in a lot of the games, and I like that.
Ben sends you out in Scarlet Violet to just take hits, and you take them like a champ.
Yeah, it's great. I love it. So, yeah, fucking A+ Umbreon. I like Espeon's design, too. I definitely see the alien look thing that you were mentioning. I just like Espeon because he looks like a cat, and I like cats. I'm a very simple person on that front. Glaceon and Leafeon are wet farts to me. They're just kind of you made them because you had to, but you didn't try. So, like, here's the gold star. You tried because you didn't really try with the designs.
We gotta make some new ones to cover the elements.
Yeah.
Because there are other elements.
Yeah.
Why would you make... Oh, fuck you. Anyway.
And then Sylveon, well... So, I like Sylveon. I feel like I'm obligated to also like Sylveon because it's a trans Pokemon, but I also like him anyways. But my favorite thing about Sylveon is the flesh ribbons. But when I think about the flesh ribbons, more often than not, the way that I've seen them like depicted in TF is just like, oh, you have grown a flesh ribbon, and now you can wrap it around your dick. So, you know, that's helpful. That works. So, you know,
I mean,
A+ Sylveon TF.
Fine.
Self-hand job. Yeah.
You can open doors. You don't get stuck inside now, and
this is true.
The TF happens.
Yeah, exactly.
You can do caressing on others and stuff, and all right, never mind.
Yeah, but
anyway,
also the dick.
Yes, also the dick.
I'm just saying.
Fantastic.
But yeah, I mean, if I had to pick a TF one, I'd also pick Umbreon. But I think my second pick would be Sylveon for aforementioned reasons.
Okay, because
Flesh ribbon.
Yeah.
I was going to say that I really like them because they all kind of have these personality stereotypes about them, which can be really fun. So if you like a little bit of mental TF, if you turn into Jolteon, he gets angry really fast, so you might just, or he's really energetic all the time, so you might just be like bouncing off the walls or having a lot of fun or speaking a little too fast, which can be fun. Yeah. And like Sylveon is really affectionate, so maybe you just get filled with this overwhelming sense of like connection with the people around you or something, which could be really pleasant and fun to explore.
Yeah. I dig that.
That's one of the other things I like about them a lot.
Yeah. And if you turn into Eevee, you get to TF twice.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is pretty cool. So
yeah, you could play with that and just you can make up some scenario where you discover the next type that hasn't been done yet. I would do that.
Like I want to make a name for myself. I want to discover the next eeveelution. So you just like, I'm gonna jump into this vat of crickets.
or you can be the what the fuck would a fighting type Eevee be like?
I've seen some really cool ideas for all of the types.
Yeah,
and the rock ones, like this really cool made a gems one, and they also made a fossil one who looks really cool. And the steel one's like a little one of those old late 90s Robo Pets. It's so cool. Got a little antenna really tail and one of the like, I don't know what they're called, but like the protogen screen faces.
Yeah, little screens with the digital eyes and stuff.
But like the old fashioned kind.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
Oh my god, there's one of the fan names is Obsidian.
You see, that's pretty good.
That's great.
That's pretty good. I like that. And that was one of the coolest things about Pokemon. That kind of wonder of discovery, Eevee kind of lent into it, because when you found out you could just give it a stone and it would turn into something, then you were thinking, oh, well, what else could possibly happen?
Perfect TF trigger.
Well, yeah.
That's true.
It's right there.
That's why the stones just get used for like a bunch of
90%.
Things. Yeah.
If it's not a malfunctioning or like specially designed Pokeball, it's a stone for like 95%.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the Pokemon Center gets underused for the... I don't know, underused.
Dude, it's a vet clinic.
Yeah. It gets used a decent amount.
Does it?
Yeah, I've seen quite a few like that are like, oh, it's the TF clinic.
Well, that's what I get for not being one of those people who is like super hardcore into turning into Pokemon, which is its own microcosm.
That is its own microcosm, you're right.
Like both of you have more experience in that than I do, because I'm actually an outsider to that stuff. Now more recently, I'm like, that would be fun, but I have to have my own takes on it because I don't bother looking to what other people do. But sometimes you guys show me stuff and I think, oh, I didn't think of that. That's pretty neat.
Yeah.
Going closer to the RJ Palmer style shit.
I do like the RJ Palmer style stuff.
You've seen the stuff, right?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
You don't know who that is?
Nope. Come on. I know so little.
RJ Palmer is a very well-known artist who is known for making Pokemon into super realistic type creatures.
Oh, okay. I didn't know his name, but I know exactly who you're talking about.
Okay, yeah.
Where he makes like all the Eevees and Leafeon looks like a deer and Jolteon looks like a porcupine.
Yeah, shit like that.
And okay.
Yeah,
okay,
so...
I didn't know that was his name.
Yeah, RJ Palmer is the kind of artist that makes me look at Pokemon for transformation and makes me think, yeah, that would be really fucking cool. Because otherwise the designs are like whatever, and I kind of don't feel like doing anything with it.
Yeah.
You can play around with it.
Well, that's the point. The alternative styles make me put the monster in pocket monsters.
Otherwise, you do make them very monsters, which is good.
Yeah. More, please.
Yeah.
Have you seen his Ghastly Hunter Gengar?
Yes, I have.
Yeah.
So cool and
They're
creative.
very good. They're very good. I would be happy to TF into that.
I love the ears taking the place of the big eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
and just
cool.
the fur around the eyes, making it look like Gengar's big red eyes and
making Haunter's hands have fur.
yeah.
They all look like bats. They're various kinds of bats.
Yeah.
And the way they Ghastly is like a bat hanging in a certain way, so his ears are white and kind of give the impression of his eyes. And Haunter has kind of clear membranes for his wings, except for these purple streaks that kind of look like Haunter's hands when he stretches out his wings. It's so cool.
It's very good.
Yeah. Yeah, so RJ did do all the evolutions too.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And did them very well.
Yeah, and it makes all of them look really cool. Vaporeon looks a lot like a seal.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Which I like, so the forelegs are more like fins. It looks like it can't really walk on land, which I think is very cool. I love that shit.
Do you think of Vaporeon as having rubbery skin or fur? That's like an otter.
I prefer the rubbery skin type thing, because I think that if it has rubbery skin, it just goes more in line with the idea that genes are so unstable, radical things can happen. So if it kept fur, I'd be kind of meh on it.
Yeah, it would dilute the point of that. I think.
Yeah, that's a very fair point.
But again, with RJ, because seals have fur. So but that's the other thing that makes it more interesting. Now it's barely got legs, it's got more like fins. So now you got
there's enough gene change to make up for having a little bit of hair.
Yeah, make it really amphibious. Give it that distinction that, well, now you fucked it up and it needs water to live properly.
Yeah.
Okay, so that means now if you turn into any one of these guys, you'll need to have accommodations. So what should you keep away from a Jolteon? Or what do you think a Jolteon would need?
Either batteries or a generator might be nice.
Why do you think it would need that?
I don't know. You probably want it, and you probably want to give him what he wants. You start to become a little bit less in control of that relationship, I think.
Well, Vaporeon would need water, obviously.
Yeah, need water, and probably... So if we go with the fact that they can be kind of like cats, it would probably be good to have a container it can melt into when it feels like being alone.
Yeah, that's good.
And Umbreon would need...
His anal glands expressed.
To start, spay and neuter your...
No! Absolutely not. Jesus.
Okay, good.
Okay, actually, I want to change my answer. Jolteon would need lots of salt. Because that's what they use the muscle cells and electric eels and stuff. And your action potentials in your nerves. You need a lot of sodium and a lot of potassium and some chlorine to balance it. Nice. So he needs a salt lick.
Okay, see? This is why I like having you. That's why I asked you the question. I was thinking, why a generator? But that makes more sense
because he can eat it.
Yeah.
I like the science-y part of that.
Science
makes sense.
Good.
Okay.
And you need some rubber gloves.
Yeah.
That also have Kevlar in them. So they don't poke through.
Yeah. Wait, Kevlar is
bulletproof,
like body armor.
Yeah. No, I know it's body armor, but there's body armor that can withstand bullets, but not knives. You know that, right?
Yeah, we use Kevlar when we have to work with woodchucks and stuff that can bite really hard.
Oh, okay, so that does work for it.
It seems to.
Okay,
it's at least
so far it has.
At least slows them down.
Yeah,
insulated. So Kevlar exterior with rubber inside for insulation. Because if it starts breaking the rubber, you start losing insulation.
Yeah.
Okay, so we consider Jolteon to have very prickly hair. Make sure to pet it in one direction only, like a shark.
Yep.
All right, because not only will you be stabbed, you'll end up seizing because of the shock that it'll unintentionally give you.
He's dangerous.
He is dangerous.
Hey, that's a good way to know if your Jolteon or you is not zapping somebody by accident when you get poked. Means you are malnourished and you need the salt.
Yep.
And I was going to say aside from the anal gland treatment.
He just probably needs a dark space to vibe in.
What I was going to say was that you can make a very comfortable space. Make sure that you use something like Black 3.0 on the stuff.
Yeah.
So that way it can have a box that is just nearly pure dark.
Yeah.
You know, and it would also be really cool if you get a bunch of Black 3.0 to make a box out of, because you could look inside, see nothing except the red eyes, which would probably also look even more spacey because it would look like they're literally from a void, even though the box is like 4 feet deep and shit like that.
Do his eyes glow?
Yeah,
or just the rings?
No, I think both do.
Okay.
I think
he can control if they glow or not.
Yeah.
Well, that's the point also of the box. If nobody's ever seen what Vanta Block, fuck that. Vanta Block, if you've seen it, Black 3.0 is pretty much the same. And you could have that pretty much in a very brightly lit room or an averagely lit room. And the eyes wouldn't necessarily have to glow because they would just pop from the fact that they are the only things that would reflect light.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
Now I'm thinking Umbreon. Imagine having Umbreon with that kind of a Black 3.0 sort of look where it doesn't seem to have any dimensions because it absorbs so much light.
That'd be cool.
They're very cool.
Yeah, I would like that. Yeah. And before anybody thinks like, oh man, wouldn't that be cool if it was real? There are animals that actually do that, and they do have that effect, which is how they invented the paint in the first place to absorb that much light. Yeah. So this does exist on
like
animals.
Bird of Paradise.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's so cool.
So just imagine that, but on, this little fucking friend that you have who's how big are the evolutions again? Like 3 feet or some shit?
It varies a little bit, but yeah, around 2 to 3.
Like a medium-sized dog or some shit?
Yeah, Umbreon's probably a medium size.
Yeah, so that, but its eyes look like they're just floating in space.
Yeah.
Why is there a hole in reality?
Yeah. You look kind of like those pictures of those black cats where there's just like a void in the carpet and his eyes are staring up at you.
Oh man. Looking for a little, I was like, oh, there's a little bump on your head. What is that? And you like fold away the tear in reality and be like, oh, you got a little nick there.
Oh man. Well, that was a fun thought exercise.
Yeah.
I appreciate
that's
that.
That's why Pokemon is fun to talk about.
Yeah.
It is fun to talk about. And now I got a question for the audience before I forget it. What eeveelution do you think would suit any of us, despite what we've said? If you can pick another one, tell us, or just any Pokemon in general. I'm curious.
I'm curious too.
Yeah,
because maybe we give off different vibes from the eeveelutions that we like.
I gotta start talking faster.
Yeah.
And you definitely just want to you better not be able to think of anything other than Jolteon, because if you're not thinking of Jolteon, then it better not be.
Yeah.
I desperately want this. Please.
Oh,
my self-confidence is so low. I need this.
Oh my god.
Oh. Well, we do have a more heavy topic that I wanted to get into. And actually, this was one that was suggested by some of our patrons.
Heavier than Pokemon.
Yes, heavier than Pokemon.
You know how fucked up the world of Pokemon is?
Don't make this a contest right now.
We're not making it a contest. I'm just like, if you wanted to take it easy, we shouldn't have talked about Pokemon in the first place.
Well, then I fucked up. Apologies.
Yeah.
Start the episode over.
Yeah, just start over again. So we're going to talk a little bit about mental health and TF. And I kind of want to approach this conversation from two lenses. The first being how, TF has affected our mental health and how we perceive ourselves. And then also, our thoughts as to why there seems to be a large overlap between TF interest in various mental health issues. So let's start with the first one about how TF has affected our mental health and how we perceive ourselves. Would either of you like to give your thoughts first?
That is something that I started to notice from the outside. I've got my problems. They didn't really clash or mesh with transformation on a deeper level, other than I thought I was really weird for being attracted to this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And for having that kind of fascination. That's why it helped to look on the internet and then eventually find that people actually are into it on the same level, which seemed fucking crazy to me. Cosmically fucking weird.
Yeah.
But, the more I think about it, the more kind of sense it makes anyway. So now that's not really a problem for me. Things I observe regarding mental health and people who are into it, it's such a wide berth of stuff. I see people who, use it as a way to cope with like self-loathing, dissociating from a bad situation, wish fulfillment, in the sort of like kind of desperate sort of way. I see it as I'm trying to think of like a few other things. Oh yeah, misanthropic view of people,
right?
And just the fact that the world is too cruel and difficult to live through, so you want to kind of dissociate from all that.
Kind of in an escapist way.
Yeah, the escapism. So, and then of course there is there's a version of, if I was this thing, I'd be able to fight back. Yeah. So, that's the desire for like power and control, and people will exert that on others as well. So that shows up because there's a lot of like power play shit.
Of course.
And that also just has a huge, like, all these things have their own pockets that can be discussed because of the kind of content that gets made, the content that is popular, especially because there's a few popular tropes, trends, things like that. And they stand head and shoulders above all these other ideas, all these other niches within it. So that's how I see mental health being reflected in a lot of this stuff.
But on those perspectives that you mentioned, are there any that you have subscribed to, like, in the past or currently, that, like, you have that kind of a connection with TF2, or have you mostly settled on in, like, your relationship with transformation?
My relationship with it is very stable. I don't feel very weird about it. I don't feel like it's something I need to really hide. I'm very comfortable with the idea that if I'm going to make a friend, and if I start spending a lot of time with them, I'm going to start showing them some things, not because I want to make sure that they'll accept me, but I want to know if I'm going to have to hide something from people, and I'm also gauging them. I feel a mistake that people end up believing is, if you're going to tell people about stuff you like that's weird, that you're going to be judged by them. No, it's a two-way street. If they're going to be pieces of shit about something that you like or that you're into or an important aspect about yourself, then you, toward them, can be like, well, that's not why I told you. I just wanted to be myself. And if you don't think if you can't be yourself, then that fucking is bullshit. And then you could go from there. So, yeah, I don't have that kind of problem, thankfully. But I think that over time, it's also improved because when you're enjoying this stuff, depending on what you enjoy, you may think, is it right? And no matter, there's two kinds of people that the ones that will rationalize stuff into being morally okay with every semantic argument, and the people who don't care if it's wrong or uncomfortable to other people and will just shove it in people's faces every chance that they get.
Wow, did you just describe AI producers?
Oh, really?
Sorry, I don't mean to detract. I just had to make that comment.
I mean, they detract with their art laundering.
They do.
Anyway, point is, yeah, I see a lot of the stuff from the outside, and I recognize things like self-loathing because I have self-loathing too. But it never manifested in my relationship with this. And if I'm going to be using transformation lately, I think that it's actually been something to help me explore more. It's lately been a more positive thing. A nice toy, pretty decent tool when I want it to be. And yeah, thankfully it's more positive and less of a burden to like navigate socially. Yeah. But I see that a lot of people don't have that. And they it feels like they also don't know how to balance that part of themselves because it's huge for whatever reasons, and they want to express that more, maybe even as often as possible. And so what are they supposed to do around people who aren't into it? They don't really know whether or not they should or if it's safe to express.
And you don't have that concern?
I really don't. I will handpick things, that I feel are okay to show to people. Like, yeah, I made this, and I'm not gonna spend time I'm not going to spend time explaining to them what this is or how I like it or make up little things or semantics. Like, I draw weird monsters and stuff, and this is the kind of thing I like to do, and I'll show them, like, just a portrait that I made. Yeah. And people will just be like, oh, fucking cool. Do you like this or that? If it comes to that, it's fine. It's fine for me. I wish it was fine for other people.
Yeah.
Because another thing that I notice is, because it's a huge kink of mine, I see that it's a huge kink for other people, but I feel like they have a hard time separating the fact that not everybody's looking at it that way, or that just because you have a specific focus on it, it has to look that way to other people.
Yeah.
There are plenty of people who will at least make the really stupid joke of, like, is this a fetish thing? Ha ha ha, shut the fuck up. You know? Even if you're right.
Yeah,
it's not funny.
like that for everyone either.
Yeah, and it isn't.
So I want to circle back to one thing you said earlier as well. So you've never really used it as an escapist kind of thing?
No. So one thing I grew up with hating was my name. My full first name is something that growing up, a lot of people played around with, made fun of, and everything like that. I really didn't like it. And no matter how many afternoons I would come home from school and feel like, I hated, having my name, yeah. I actually started to try to think of another name that I want to be called. I could never settle on anything. So it didn't really feel like a surrender, but also nothing felt right. So I'm like, I'm just me. So I'm okay with this. And then, I just kind of went on and I thought of it less, and I just sort of I coped with the people who would be jerks about it. But then there were plenty of people who weren't, There were plenty of people who weren't, which means, like, I can be myself and I'm okay with this name that I was given and that I can give to other people. And that with time, I started to learn that, hey, there's even versions of my name that I can enjoy. And I never thought that was possible at the time.
Yeah.
It just kind of goes to show that I'm using this example to show that I am me, and there's a part of me fundamentally that wants to be okay with that. And isn't really scared of it either. Now, this is not the case for a lot of people for so many reasons. But that's also why I never really felt the need to like completely obliterate myself and replace myself with another thing, which is sometimes how transformation comes off as an escapist fantasy.
Yeah, of course.
With how some people express it.
Yeah, it's the replacement of the self.
Yeah. And like, I don't have to deal with replacement of the self, which means replacing your life, which means, the appeal of starting fresh and erasing your mistakes is huge.
Yeah.
And transformation is a really, really good way of exploring that idea. But I don't know. With all the self-loathing, all the things that I've been through, I just wanted to be better. But I didn't want to get rid of me. I'm scared to lose me.
Yeah.
I'm scared to lose what I am. Deep down, I like the things about me. I think a lot of people would love to be okay with the things about them. And if you could turn into your ideal thing, then you could feel better about yourself, because then also, if you were to turn into something else and then people would treat you like crap for that, I think it would ultimately reinstall the kind of shit that you had before. Because when we think poorly of ourselves, that comes from other places.
Yeah.
We're not born thinking
that we're garbage.
Yeah, we're not. So I see that people just kind of have that internalized, and they think, well, there's nothing salvageable here. Might as well be anything else.
Yeah. So you're describing a perspective transformation, one of the 4 different types of transformation stories.
One of the from the True Breakdown.
Yeah, True Breakdown.
Oh my God. So in your queer experience, how's the storytelling the aspect of this?
I'd rate it a solid 8 out of 10.
Cool.
Yeah. Cameron, how about you?
Yeah, I was trying to think about this, and being the person I am, I went home and I Googled a bunch of stuff when we settled on this topic.
Yeah.
So the way I was thinking about it, I was trying to find out why people pursue TF in the first place. And as far as the motivators that I could find, escapism was one of the main ones that I could kind of see in people. And I talked to a couple people who I know have had some mental health issues, and myself included. And it seems that
TF as an escapist thing can be a very useful thing to cope with those issues.
Yeah.
But like anything that is used for escapism, you have to do it in the right way with the right intention. So escapism is to help you get through, like the definition of escapism was actually kind of interesting. They said it was like a certain kind of strategy in order to detach, in order to get through something that would otherwise kind of cripple you.
Yeah.
So by escaping to this thing, you can kind of remain calm in the moment, get through whatever it is, and then kind of use your later coping skills or mitigate the problem.
It's a dissociation.
Yeah, in a way.
Yeah.
It doesn't always have to be, because sometimes, like, I assume that the people who aren't into TF in school who are stressed look out the window and daydream about being themselves but a superhero or something, or going on a fantasy quest, whereas some of us probably imagine turning into a bird or a werewolf or something.
Yeah.
So it doesn't necessarily have to be that you're changing yourself. You could just put yourself in a cool situation.
Yeah. And I think that's still dissociation.
It might be.
But it can be different level shades of it. I get what you're saying. Yeah.
So it seems like a very useful tool as long as you use it to the right degree. So I have known people who've kind of struggled with having control over their lives, who have maybe used or like fantasize about turning into a werewolf because you have power and freedom. Or I've known people who have big issues with their self-image, and being able to think about TF and becoming a little bit better can help them cope with it. Mm-hmm. And using that, you can kind of, in some people, it kind of is almost inspiring, where they start to make changes in their life. And I know people in the past have talked about this on the podcast, where they're like, well, if my ideal Sona or whatever is more fit, then I kind of use it. And I know that sometimes it'll be like, oh, I'm in a horse mood, I'm going to get salads for lunch.
Yeah.
Like, just to have fun, but it's also kind of helps promote a little bit more of a healthy lifestyle.
Yeah.
So I think that's really interesting. I think you can run into issues, though, when you get kind of towards those self-loathing, self-destructive things.
Right.
And I don't think that having that, like, obviously you're struggling, and I feel for you, and it's something that everybody's got to work through, because life is rough. And anxiety and depression and mental issues can come in all sorts of forms and shapes.
Okay, so could you clarify what is self-destructive then?
So just like the people who seem to struggle with their self-identity to the point where they are just depressed and miserable, saying, I hate myself, I hate everything about me, I wish they may have suicidal ideation even. To the extreme degree, which I think we could all agree is not very healthy. Yeah. But almost like self-harm, having this kind of mental self-destructive transformation could kind of get you through those critical moments, maybe? Yeah,
because like if you're thinking about yourself from the lens of like, well, if I destroy myself to some degree and rebuild, then I'll be better. That's a way to like get through the really bad way by like trying to reframe some of those thoughts potentially.
Yeah, so it could be a useful tool for that, and I'd hope that those people, obviously it's not happen overnight, but I hope you work on it. I don't know, if you need therapy, you get therapy. If you seek out resources that could help, it'd be great. But I don't remember where I was going.
Yeah, no, but I think if I can elaborate, maybe I think what you're kind of saying is also the fact that at the end of the day, people can use this even when they are at low points to try and get through things. And TF as a coping mechanism is definitely not a bad thing. It can be, but it can also be a very useful tool, especially for people who have those kinds of mental illnesses that like interact with those kinds of negative thoughts. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think the other useful thing about it is if you are in those, like, I don't like myself or I don't like these qualities about me, I think TF can be a great way to explore other ways to be. So you might be able to find different solutions and say, like, I don't know, I don't like the way I interact with people. You could imagine or kind of fantasize about TFing into a confident person or something, and then you can maybe get an idea of what that might feel like or what it might be like, and that in turn might give you confidence or help you build your own confidence.
Yeah.
Sometimes I also gotta stress that it's not always a self-loathing. It does sometimes manifest as hating everybody else.
For sure.
Oh yeah.
And that's another
kind of a withdrawing from society.
Yeah, misanthropic kind of.
Yeah. And
which I used to be very much that way.
Yeah,
and I would actually use TF kind of in that way sometimes.
Wow.
Interesting.
I'm a way better person than I used to be. I was a shitty little teenager.
Well, did TF help kind of with that kind of shift from being who you used to be to who you are now?
I don't know. I think that I just started to focus on introspection a lot, and I started to ask myself, why do I feel ways, and what can I do about the things that I don't like about myself?
Yeah.
And even now, I have a hard time really knowing who I am. And I actually do these weekly exercises with my brother and my mom. That's like introspection question of the week. We'll talk about it on Saturday.
Yeah.
Just to be like, what do you think about this? Or how do you feel about that? Or what is the thing, what is your biggest memory that shows this or something?
Yeah.
And I think that having TF can help you explore who you feel like you could be or who you are and explore all these different avenues. And like at the end of the day, you're probably not going to be like, oh, I'm like this and this and this. You're going to probably be a spectrum of all these things, but you can start kind of building yourself up from all these little pieces.
Yeah. Which makes me think of stuff that you said before, Zil, about people having like a label and sort of stopping there when it probably may be better in some cases to be a jumping off point to start to understand yourself better, but not to just say, well, this is what I've identified myself with, and that's it. I'm good, I'm done, and now I will lean into this.
Yeah, you always got to push yourself more from that.
Yeah, which is one of the reasons that it's been a good tool for me, because I have begun to accept more things about myself and realize that certain things are okay, even though it's not very clear cut. Okay, so one thing that it's helped me with is being more sure of what I'm thinking and what I'm feeling. Because the stuff I make can come off as weird and off-putting, and since it's so vague, because I don't put a bunch of fucking story in it all the time, I have to be able to tell people, no, this was the point of that. And they could tell me, well, no, it isn't. And I have to be ready to say, that is not what I was doing. That's not why I made it. And if you're going to tell me that I'm lying to you, you leave this place right now.
Yeah.
And I think in that respect, it's helped me as well.
It's like a high school literature class.
Yeah.
What do you think they meant when they said the curtains were red?
It's like they were fucking red.
Yeah, that's why I get annoyed with people. Yeah. I've gotten comments like that, like, oh, they're going through this and that, and they must be thinking this, right? And
Isn't that so interesting though? There's like this projection onto it.
Yeah,
like,
that's
super interesting.
Yeah, and okay, it only annoys me when I put a lot of like obvious visual cues for things. And then I'll get asked a question about it, and I'm, fuck, man.
What do you mean? You should submit it to like a psychoanalyst's office and just use it instead of the Rorschach ink blot.
So what do you see here?
Oh, what they're called?
Rorschachs.
Well, there's another one called the TAT test, I think, the thematic association, something.
Something like
where
that.
You give them a picture where it's like, are these two women gossiping, or are they giggling over a shared thing they just witnessed, or where you. Like, it's all based on projection.
It tests your internal biases and stuff.
You can just submit those.
Yeah. That would be so funny.
Man, could you imagine sitting like, oh man, I'm going to get therapy, and they're like, okay, we're going to just do some basic baseline test kind of thing, and then you see one of Ern's
pieces, and they're like, what do you think's going on here?
What do you think's going on here? I don't know, but it's super hot.
They'll be like, okay. Horny. I diagnosed you with horny.
Found you. Found you. Okay, so before I forget...
I'm going to need to consult with my colleagues on this one.
Okay, so Zil, your perspective on mental health, your relationship to it, how you see it around here, things like that. What's your general overview?
Yeah, so I guess I'll talk about it with myself first. I don't think I would have realized that I was non-binary without TF. I think that is a pretty significant way it's affected me. I don't think I would have recognized my sexuality without TF. That's also a significant thing. And both of those things caused me a lot of anxiety and depression in the past. I think particularly when I was like growing up, actually, ironically, I had a similar issue to you in that people would make fun of my name, but my last name specifically. Again, because it was racialized. So, racism. But, one of the...
I had a kid call me a camera once. It's not just due to racism.
Oh man,
I would.
It's just kids being mean. Also,
I would like to. Okay, so I would like to add that before you continue, so you can laugh a little bit. I think the reason people picked on me more is because counseling made me less angry. Otherwise, I was punching people in the face who looked at me funny, and then I was 5 years old.
Okay, yeah. Jesus. Yeah, that was not me as a kid. I was like very goody two shoes. So when I was like growing up, I very much was always drawn to like the shapeshifters and all that stuff, and it was just very much my thing. But one of the things that really stuck with me from like a mental health lens, particularly when I was becoming a teenager and you get all the like hormones, and now you're like, oh, now my brain is telling me I suck because blah blah blah. I think I viewed transformation as a space where I could still continue to express myself in a way where I didn't have to hide certain elements of myself from the world, because I did a lot of hiding like throughout my life, where I felt like, oh, I couldn't express this, or oh, I can't express that. And how do I like, start to dip my toes into this kind of expression? Like, I didn't even fully, in my opinion, settle on like even how to express myself until I was well past, going to school and university and stuff. I made progress in some of those arenas as I grew up, but, not being able to express myself in a way that I also felt would be accepted by the world caused me a lot of like internal turmoil. And, I'm someone who has struggled with a variety of different mental health issues, be it anxiety, depression, PTSD, ADHD, suicidal stuff. Like, I could write you a whole fucking list. But one of the things that I felt really stuck with me throughout all of that was transformation as an outlet to continue to express myself without fear of how others were going to react. And sometimes that didn't go very well. Like, especially when I was starting to start out, I was doing photo manips and people didn't like them and said it were shit, and that made me feel like shit. But I, at the very least, always felt like this is a space where I can talk about this thing that I didn't feel like I could talk about outside of that. And so when I think about my relationship with transformation now and my mental health, I mean, it's a very deep part of who I am, I feel like, and I'm no longer willing to compromise on talking about it with people. Like, if I feel like, I'm going to have like a meaningful conversation or relationship with someone outside of like work and stuff, like that is something I will probably share, or at the very least I'll share that I'm a furry. That's always like an easier stepping stone to me, if anything.
Yeah.
But I make a point of that now because I've lived long enough with hiding who I was, not only just from the world, but also from myself to some degree. And I think transformation really helped me come into myself. So I think a lot of that ties into like my view of like mental health with the community as a whole, because a large part of the community is like queer or trans or a variety of other things. And a lot of those identities have a lot of comorbidity with mental illness, unfortunately. And a lot of that mental illness is caused by society itself rejecting who these people are. And so to me, it's obviously not like a marginalized identity, but interest in transformation is in some ways kind of ourselves mirroring back that, society has rejected us to some degree, but we are changing ourselves to make ourselves happy. Not them, not the people who have rejected us, but the people inside of us, like our younger selves or the selves that we want to be. Transformation is a way for us to satisfy those things in defiance of society rejecting us. So obviously that's not a universal experience. It's tied up in my mind with a lot of identities, but in my opinion, I think that's why transformation crops up a lot with folks who have like either a mental illness or, have another like marginalized identity, because it is in its purest form a way for us to express ourselves. And like you said, Cameron, it's also a way in many cases to get through really difficult situations. I know that like one of my like therapy techniques I learned when I'm in like a triggering situation is like, imagine you're like character TFing into like a character who can better handle the situation. And that is like a legit like therapy technique that I learned in therapy because I talked about my therapist about TF, and we came up with that kind of a thing together, and it works. So, I always think about the benefits that it brings, and I've never really seen it as a negative effect on my mental health. It can definitely be a hindrance for some people, but at least for me, I found it in its truest sense to be a way to better express myself and express the thoughts that I was not able to articulate in that moment. So.
Okay. So yeah, and it's like it was said in another video that it's a pretty good way to get people to empathize with somebody without having to make them do quite as much work.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you're going to do self-reflection, you're going to sometimes need that. It's like the idea of okay, pretend your feelings are this bunny. You know, you're not going to be mean to the bunny, right? Don't be mean to the bunny. And that's a good way. It's like, oh, so if you're a rabbit, would you be mean to yourself like that? No, you wouldn't. So yeah, stuff like that. But that's a lot of, but you know, I think it's also interesting that we all have pretty different relationships, and it's kind of come about in different stages. So correct me if I'm wrong. With you, Zill, it helped you work through your identity and kind of knowing yourself and, you know, embracing what you feel you're discovering about you.
Yeah.
And for you, it wasn't quite that big of an instrument, but nowadays you're kind of like it can be. Mm-hmm. And for me, it wasn't really a big deal other than it retroactively, I can look at myself and think, oh yeah, my insecurities, of course, made me feel really shitty about liking this. But otherwise, it's not that big a part. So it's like a spectrum here, and I like that. And I'm glad that we were able to get together to give, you know, a pretty decent range as to what this is, mm-hmm. or what it could be for some people. Because I certainly can't relate to everybody's experiences. Nobody can.
No one can.
Yeah. I think that mental health in this fandom is something that simply can't be ignored. Mm. There are a lot of people who will have really bad days. Oh, yeah. I know that people make jokes about it and they say, oh man, if only I could be this. I'm so tired of being a human being. And I always feel that speaks really loudly to other shit that's going on, you know? Mm-hmm. And I try to think of, I don't really know exactly what to say to that most days, actually.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think in some ways, like, I understand where they're coming from. Yeah, and, like, I don't disagree. Like, sometimes it would be easier. Or maybe we feel like we've never been human in the first place. That's a completely other kettle of fish. But I mean, one of the things I will say, though, in those situations is maybe we don't want to be human, or we don't feel like we're human, or all of those things. But at the end of the day, we also have to navigate this society filled with humans. So whichever way you feel you fall, the thing that I would say in those situations is like, I hear you. How are we going to get through the next thing? That's sometimes the easiest thing to do is just focus on, okay, how do I get through the next day? How do I get through this feeling? How do I get through whatever the next target or task is? And then we'll think more about it. I feel like sometimes, and this is much easier said than done, to be clear. I'm not saying this is easy, but sometimes the easiest way to get through those situations is to do it in very small, short goals and take it one step at a time.
Incremental.
Yeah, incremental. That's how I think about it, at least. Because, yeah, there are definitely people out there who have never felt human before, and I fucking respect that. Unfortunately, we are surrounded with humans, and we are in a society that is populated mostly by humans. So we have to deal with that.
And no, killing some or all of them is not going to help anything.
No. We discourage that. We discourage that.
No murder.
No murder.
Or fascism.
Yeah, no fascism. Fuck that.
No murder, fascism, authoritarianism. If those are the things that you kind of feel, I think your problems are elsewhere.
Yeah.
Even if it is coming from other people. The problem is knowing that as much as so many people can be total pieces of garbage, there are so many people that aren't.
Yeah.
And you still have to recognize those people and try to be there if you can. And if you can't be, it's still not a good metric to say, well, all humanity is inherently whatever. I have plenty of things to shoot back at people. It's like, oh, humans are horrible, disgusting people. I'm like, these creatures, they're a disease on the earth. I'm like, all right, okay, you're one of a few anime and video game villains. That's okay. Animals do heinous, disgusting shit by our moral code, but they just do it. And, you know, Yeah.
Don't be an eco-fascist. It's not cool. No one likes that. Fuck that. Literally fuck that.
You know, even Poison Ivy thinks paper straws are stupid.
Yeah, and there you go.
She hates them.
She hates them. But I'll also say, you know, one of the things that I will say is that, and this is common to a lot of different situations, but particularly with, like, mental health concerns in any community, there's also the concern that, like, people who have mental illness will be preyed upon and pulled into, like, these bad kind of modes of thinking where all the reward systems get fucked up. And yes, I'm talking about, like, right-wing fascism and recruitment on the internet. And I think it's also important for us as a community to be thoughtful and kind towards people who are having those issues, because otherwise they can be susceptible to be getting pulled into those kinds of groups. And it's on all of us to be vigilant against that. If you are a TF fan and you are also somehow a right-wing hack, fuck you. What the fuck are you even doing? You're in a fandom where we think about turning into other things, and apparently you are not imaginative enough to turn into someone else and think about what life would be like in their shoes. Go fuck yourself. Get the fuck out of the fandom. But to all the people who could be susceptible to that, I think we do need to show a modicum of empathy towards that and work a little bit on that. Because I think sometimes, you know, we'll see someone's in a bad place and we'll just kind of like move on with our day, and maybe it's not our place, and sometimes it's not, to be clear. But, you know, being caring and kind to one another is something that seems to be a little bit blasé these days, I feel like. And I think it's worth a damn to care about other people, and we should try to do that more too in this fandom, especially as we just talked about in the last episode, being kinder to artists because of the shit that they're going through. And I just think we should extend that to everyone.
Okay, I'm going to offer one option to the right-wing fucks who may be listening. Yes, the fuck you still stands. Also, you can stop anytime.
That's true. You can. The best time to stop was when you started. The next best time is now.
Yeah, you can stop. And that would be great if you did. If you're going to be using this fantasy, this idea, as a way to expand your perception about something, if you even use it for that, I think even pleasure, you're expanding your perception of one thing. Use it to put yourselves in the shoes of other people and actually stop. Because I'll tell you right now, the leopards will eat your face.
Oh, absolutely.
You're not going to, they're not going to be nice to you.
Those fucks will not be kind about your fetish, I'm sorry.
Yeah, they won't.
Newsflash.
You'll be just as degenerate as any other group of people on this. And you are, actually. We're all equally degenerates in the eyes of the right-wing fuckery.
This is true.
Conservative fuckery. All kinds of that general fuckery. If you think you're in your country where it's not as bad as, like, America, it's that bad. You just really don't realize it.
Fascism is on the rise everywhere in the world. It's not just in one place.
Yep. Different coat of paint, different smell, different intensity. It's all the same. So stop it.
The TFTuesday podcast says fuck fascism.
Yeah. Fuck fascism. Cameron, fuck fascism?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So all three of us. The tribunal has spoken.
Oh, well, when did I get elected to the tribunal?
Now, in this moment.
Well, right now we're a tribunal. I mean, we cycle our members.
Right time, getting voted onto a position of power. 2 episodes in a row, baby.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, man. But yeah, I don't know if you have any other thoughts on the mental health stuff, Cameron.
I had 2 thoughts. One's more of a question.
Yeah, sure.
With your imagining a confident person or whatever and kind of like mental character TFing.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And I was kind of laughing at my own thoughts last night in bed. Because I was imagining, you know how like they tell you to, like before an interview or before something scary or a speech or whatever, you're like supposed to do a power pose? Like,
go
through a 2-minute process of you TFing into something big and strong and powerful, and then walk into that exam room or that
absolutely
office or whatever. It's probably really useful and helpful.
It is.
Probably pretty fun.
Yeah.
And then the other one was...
What was the question in that one?
No, that wasn't the question. This was the question.
Yeah. I was just going to say also, because nobody asked, it's Garrus. That's who I turn into. Anyways, continue.
Okay.
My question was, the TF community is kind of like a niche thing. It's like...
Yeah.
I wonder if other like niche communities have like an obvious mental health, or not an obvious, but like the same proportions or the same experience and things with mental health. Because like I feel like having a small community where you share a tight niche interest gives you a community that you can kind of talk to and explore ideas within. Mm-hmm. So I wonder if like, I don't know, the Yu-Gi-Oh card game.
Yes.
Fanatic.
Yes.
Yeah. I wanted to actually.
Yes.
I wanted to touch on that, and I'll let you go just really fast before I forget. One of the things that I will say, this is not obviously mental illness, but it is a neurodivergent way of thinking.
Mm-hmm.
There is a high incidence rate in fandoms of any fandom.
That's a great way to say it.
Of any fandom in terms of autism, because you are hyper focusing oftentimes in your interest on a specific thing, and that can be comorbid with a number of different mental illnesses because the world is being shipped to you. So I think this issue is prevalent in a lot of other communities. I don't know if those communities use the source of their fandom to try and help their mental health in the same way. That would be the thing I would delineate against. I'm sure some of them do, don't get me wrong, but I don't think that's necessarily the case in every single fandom.
I would love to see, just because it's the example, like the Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG, they're like, man, I'm having a rough time. It's like, bro, you gotta build your deck out of support and healing members. Get those Monster Reborns, get those, like, reinforcement, make sure you buff yourself, because you matter.
I love that. You can only be, show self-love by building the stages of Zodia, okay? It's very important.
Be kind to you. If you want to build it, building a strong deck means building a strong you.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe they say that stuff. I don't know.
I would hope so. But,
I would hope so too.
But I'm inclined to think that no, they don't. Especially if they're competitive.
Yeah.
When I hear people on YouTube or anywhere else say, "Oh, the community around this game is great," I immediately don't believe it. I don't believe it because when it comes to competition, there's a ton of self-interest, and maybe they know some good people that are good to them. But otherwise, I'm wary of like almost any fandom, especially with this one. I can make an entire episode about why I'm so cynical about this, because I came in bright-eyed and bushy-tailed at the prospect of talking to other people like me, and just holy shit.
You've talked about that before.
And just the idea of other fandoms kind of being on the lookout for, your health and your safety. I don't think so. Because again, if it's competitive, you're going to want to win, and that's going to be the thing. And even when it's not, people get weirdly possessive about the things they like. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people with the loudest opinions get the following and start to create. But the general ideas and sentiments that people will carry throughout the group, that is what's going to spread. Mm. And if they happen to latch on to somebody with a shitty opinion or anything like that, that's what it's going to be. And you're almost never going to break it. What you'll probably end up doing is splintering off into another section of it. And then before you know it, when you go into the fandom of something, you got these pockets and you don't know which one you'll end up in, just trying to find a good time with people. Yeah. And to relate this to TF, it's hard because there's already a bunch of different ways to appreciate it, and people want to find the most like-minded people they can.
Yeah.
But they don't really want to deal with people who are different either, even within the space. That's how it feels to me. And therefore, if you're not able or willing to be in a pool of different personalities, experiences, likes. If you actually, and I'm not talking about the bullshit tolerance, the kind that people will say, "Oh, aren't you tolerant? Why aren't you letting me bully you?" I'm saying you need to be actually tolerant of a number of kinds of like themes and people so that you can actually get to some shit. Because that's the way the world is. You can build a social club, but if you want to be out in the world at large, that's something that you just have to do. And if you want to be part of like the TF community, whatever you think that is, you have to do that. And this also means some callbacks to recent shit. If you think there's like drama because people are complaining, or if you think that there's, or if you think certain people are being mean or anything like that, that goes with being part of the community. People have grievances, they talk, they have feelings. And if you want to actually be a part of that, that's something that you'll have to sort out as best as you can. Yeah. But you can't avoid it.
You can't turn a blind eye to it.
Yeah, you can't. There needs to be some acknowledgement. this also, because also the collective mental health of the community is also going to affect how people react to others having grievances or anything like that. If you are not acknowledging what people are complaining about and everything else, then maybe you're not really going to get to the bottom of something that you may have been overlooking.
And that's the thing that bothers me about, like, relentless or, like, stringently enforced positivity. Like we all need to be positive, blah, blah, blah. I can't stand that shit. Because we are all... I hope we are. We're all adults, and we all have gone through life, and we have our own shit that's going on in the background, and not everything is all sunshine and rainbows. And those things affect how we are as people, and it affects how we interact with the community. So if you are strictly enforcing everything must be positive, well, like we've just been saying, anyone with a mental illness might feel like that now they're on the wrong side of that fence, and I can't express myself because we need to be positive here. We need to have a space where everyone feels like they can be their full selves, all the good and all of the bad. And I think that that's a very important thing to say.
Yeah. I can't sit on the couch with these people here for this recording and think, oh yeah, all I get from them is good times, and I really just don't want to deal with it. If they start to get kind of mean about something, I'm going to turn off from that. Well, what the fuck is that if you want to have friends?
Yeah.
You cannot do that. The whole through thick and thin. The thick part matters. Yeah. The thick part always matters.
Especially with flesh ribbons.
The face
I was gonna ask, how supportive do you think the TF community is? And do you think there's like someone out there in it who feels totally unsupported?
Oh.
So
versus whether they actually are.
Okay. You first then.
It's more of that.
Yeah. So some of my closest friends have been met through the TF community, and I feel like they are so supportive I could trust them with anything. So that's not the community writ large, but that is people within the community. The community at large, I don't know if it's necessarily broadly supportive of everything. It's funny. We've put out, not to be spicy on Maine, but I think there's been some episodes we've put out here of this podcast that have been pretty tepid takes that you get people who push back on. And I'm not saying that people shouldn't push back on us, because as I've just been saying, hold on. Pushing back is fine, and I'm happy to have that conversation. That's the kind of community I want to foster. One where we can have disagreements and where we can have conversations. But the reason why I bring that up is because, saying things like, when you say things like child porn bad, and you get people disagreeing with you, I'm like, I don't know how supportive we are as a community.
Well,
because if we can't even just say that.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying, what if it comes for feral content next? God. I'm just saying, what about anything else?
You get my point.
I do.
And so I think, when we talk about people, and here's the other thing, actually. When people have, like, a not great episode, I see how people react to that. And that's when you can really tell who is in it to actually be supportive and who's there just to, like, signal things.
We have confirmation bias, would you say?
Yeah, I guess. But, there's a sizable number of people who just don't want to see it. I pretend I do not see it, like the meme. And, we can't be like that. We really can't. Like, we have to show concern for each other. And I think that's something that we could work on as a community. But that being said, there are amazing, fantastic pockets within the community of the likes that I don't see anywhere else. So I guess I give the community a B-. And I say that because there's some A+ elements and there's some F elements. And I'd like to think that the A+ elements outweigh the F elements, at least based on my experiences and what I've seen. And I think everyone has had their own experience, so they can be free to disagree on that, because some people run into more Fs than A+, and that's just the nature of people in general.
Okay. I don't have a favorable view because I treat this group of people like any other group of people. And you pretty much reinforced it by saying that, yeah, you've met some of your best friends through this, but that's not a reflection on the community, unfortunately. I'm going to tell people listening that in any place, most people are not prepared or even really willing to meaningfully engage with you on the problems that you are having. Trust me, because I try, I don't always have the energy for it, and sometimes it's not even a good idea. Dealing with other people's mental health is sometimes is even a dangerous thing, as dramatic as that sounds.
No, that's fair.
But you can't just like dip your toes into that all the time or thoughtlessly, even if you're trying to be good about it.
It's not a willy-nilly thing.
Yeah, it's not. So I see this group of people, and my opinion also is kind of poor because it's not... you enable the fantasy, and that's fine, but that's really all you do. If I haven't mentioned this before, I really like this term, and I don't remember exactly where it came from. I know Katana gave it to me, but it's called sad posting. And I bet any one of you who pay attention to at least 2 Discords will find somebody who sad posts, defined as people who will vent about a problem that they're having or a really bad day, and they will refuse advice, they will refuse well-wishing, they will refuse encouragement. And first of all, to the people who genuinely try to help, good for you, not your fault. To the people that don't know how to help, that's expected. And then, don't ever forget, there's always going to be the shitheads who will absolutely take that as a sign of weakness and lay into you with it. And that's why you don't just do that mindlessly. And that kind of stuff, I feel, is not widely recognized. It's definitely not recognized here because the empathy is there, in which you're like, yeah, I feel that, man. I just want to be a dog, and that's it. I don't want to think about nothing forever. I just want to play and have my belly rubbed and all that shit. Yeah, good, great. You're going to be a human by the time you snap out of that. And it can be okay to be yourself, but that's not going to be, that's not the attitude that gets fostered either. And that's the other thing. The escapism is enabled in such a way where if it seems pretty clear that somebody's just like, man, I hate the fucking world, and they'll say that, and then there often won't be a conversation like, well, what do you mean you hate the world? Do you hate people? Do you hate that? There's like no talking. There's just like, yeah, human bad, return to dog. And I'm like, that's fine as a meme, but I'm pretty sure there's a number of people who just go to those spaces to do that, and I'm like, well, there you go. That's what's going to help me get through today, and nothing will change. Ironically,
yeah.
So that's my general view of things. I can't grade it because I don't know, man. I see some people try their best, and I am finding like really cool, amazing, brilliant fucking people in this. But to get to it. Oh my God.
It's hard.
You know? And this is because I tried to make myself a part of it, and I tried to interact with people. And that's what's going to happen. There's nothing terribly special in the broad strokes sense about this group of people. In terms of, like, I guess the quality of one's character, I should say. Mm-hmm. There's jerks, there's good people, there's great people, there's people who are ultimately benign, even if they're a little weird, and that's fine. And just to make sure I keep myself on track, in terms of mental health and the way the community deals with it, I don't think it deals with it very well, because it ends up leaning more into this idea, yes, definitely, if this thing were true, the world would be better, and it kind of ends at that. That's what I end up seeing with a lot of people, and if groupthink is a problem in some of these circles, then yeah, that's the kind of thing that I notice. So I try not to do that, which is why I'm glad that I made my own little spaces, and I have a range of people who I can talk to. Even though I present very obvious things about myself that's not for everybody, they come and they talk to me, and I end up making friends. Mm-hmm. Because making an echo chamber for myself for confirmation bias doesn't get me anywhere. No. And it doesn't get anybody else anywhere. But
it doesn't enrich anyone as a person.
Yeah. And, well, since you asked the question, do you have any thoughts on that?
I guess I would say that from my limited interaction, because I'm pretty... Here's my art. I'm gonna go back to my work. It seems like it's just a community like any other. It's composed of people who have various personalities, various backgrounds, and
like most of people, are tired and struggling with something and have their own problems that they have to work on. And it's hard to help people, partly because it's really hard to know how to. We all come from very different places. We don't have the training, and it's definitely not something you want to fuck around and find out.
Yeah.
But also because we're all so tired. I'm working so hard, and I come home and I'm so tired, and I know that tomorrow I have to go back in, see 14 patients. I have to train 2 students, and I have to make a new splint and fix a duck's leg that I've never done before. Yeah. And I have to do all my records, and nobody's going to help me, and it's just me alone for the next while because my support network is also taking a mental health 2 months off.
Yeah.
So it's so exhausting just to be alive and in society right now. And so I think it's really difficult, and it's easy to kind of judge people, and it's easy to say you hate things. And I think that slowly, if you work on it, you can gradually kind of work through your stuff, or at least kind of figure out what you're about. Mm-hmm. And you can try to support people without having to carry them.
Yeah.
And you can kind of prop them up without burning yourself out.
Yeah.
And I think those, as a community, I think that's the safest and potentially the most open avenue to go. Because if you want to try to like grow and support a community, it's going to be based on its members, but the members are struggling under some weight too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I would guess that actual empathy is helpful. Not just saying, "Oh, I feel bad because you feel bad," but really acknowledging that struggle when they put it out in front of you.
Yeah, so I actually, burnout and compassion fatigue are a huge issue in vet med. I'm a vet, by the way, if you missed those other 2 episodes.
Yeah.
That's why I've been saying like medical stuff.
A seasoned veterinarian.
Yeah. All the salt.
Nicely preserved, good for your electrolytes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Burnout and compassion fatigue are super common. It's very difficult to manage. What was I saying?
It's okay. That just people are not really equipped to just keep that up for a long time, and that everybody's like struggling every day and they're tired. We're tired. We're tired right now. Yeah. You know, it was nice to talk about EVs for a little while, and you guys wanted us to talk about this, but regardless, we're both tired. We're all tired.
I did call this the Too Fucking Tired podcast when we started, so yeah.
Yeah, and this all works out.
Now it's the tagline.
Yeah, now it's the tagline.
Yeah.
Well, to go with that tagline, we have some great questions that I did want to make sure we had time to get to.
Okay.
The first question is actually specific to you, Cameron, because I know you put out a call for questions. So, Toledo, our previous guest, asks, Toledo. You tend to have a pretty realistic style, but you also work a lot with Pokemon. How do you adapt them to your style?
Mostly what I do is I base them off whatever animal they are, because I'm trained in animal anatomy.
Yeah.
And then I try to figure out what the most like biologically appropriate way to make them work might be. Sometimes I'm having more fun like sticking to the true designs and seeing what that would be like, but I tend to kind of base them on whatever animal they're supposed to be based on, and if they're not based on one, I try to just go from the ground up with what biology would say how this thing would work, and then I do that, because that's where I'm trained.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
And Alien Space Bat asks, your work with canine anatomy is amazing. What caused you to commit to it?
Probably a huge amount of student debt and 8 years of school. Yeah, I don't know. I became a vet. I know anatomy now.
That's entirely
I don't
fair.
really have much more to add.
And now you built the fine motor skills in order to be expressing it on paper and sometimes digitally.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah. I try.
No, you're doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw that horse skeleton one, and it's really good.
It's really cool. And everyone should go see it.
Yeah, and I don't have to be a fucking veterinary expert to realize that it looked like horsebone. Look, horsebone good.
Horsebone good, yeah.
Posted a little... Here's the anatomic features I focused on.
Yeah, I saw. It's very cool.
Yeah. I had to pull up diagrams and x-rays of horse carpi, because I don't remember the bones very well.
I got a book to show you after recording. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
We also have 2 other questions. So the first one comes from Fire, and they say, You are granted a wish by an evil being known to twist your wish into some sort of transformation. What do you wish for in hopes of a favorable TF outcome? And then the caveat here is you cannot wish for an animal specifically or allude to the animal because reasons to make it challenging.
Oh boy.
Okay. It's funny. I think there's a Reddit or something. There's a group of people dedicated to
crafting the perfect language to make your wish.
Yeah. To avoid exactly this kind of scenario. And again, that's something that Katina made me aware of. Try finding it. I know I'm going to try finding it after this.
Yeah.
If nobody has an answer, I'll try to go first.
You go first.
Go for it.
All right. To craft a wish, I would make sure to say that I would like something that is. I would like to be much more durable. I would like to be able to have that kind of stamina, but would be able to finesse in the spaces that I normally would with adequate comfort as I am used to. I would simply like to be able to just have the qualities that I possess to be amplified to their natural extremes, to their fullest potential, I should say, and to make sure that my quality of life would be something that would be familiar, albeit for the fact that I wish to have my physical potential fulfilled.
That was so much.
I'm totally screwing you over because there were so many vague things in there that you could totally fuck with.
Yeah, I know.
Like I could make you a giant maggot right now.
but that would go against what I said about being able.
No. What if your comfort level is more familiar to you in the new form? Is what he references it for.
Yeah, I know.
Not you now. So now you're like, I love eating decaying flesh and living in pus. That's your now comfort level.
No, that's not the comfort level. I know.
It will be as soon as you're in that position.
Then
he's like, I gotcha. Are you in a poor position?
All right, then you do it.
I can't. I was about to say, like...
Oh, you can't?
I was going to say...
On the spot, you mean?
No, well, I don't think I can. I'm going to be
now, you see, here's the other condition. The foolish thing to do would be to take the wish then and there.
Yeah.
If you have time, be Batman.
Be Batman.
Yeah, be Batman. You don't like the thing about Batman is that with preparation, the thing about Batman is with preparation, he can defeat anybody. Batman can get splattered to a wall, deleted by a god, beaten to death with a lead pipe. But if he's prepared for it, you're not going to do shit to Batman.
Yeah.
So then like we'll stick to answer the question. I'm sticking by what I said because I did my best on the spot to give you something. But just remember that the biggest question would be, do you have time to make this wish later, or is now the only time? So, but since we got to answer the question now, Zill, try to word a wish.
Well, I'm actually going to be semantic and pick apart the question because it said, I can't wish for an animal specifically or allude to the animal, but it didn't say anything about not being able to wish to be a pool toy. So, I would probably specifically wish to be an animate pool toy of, I guess, I don't know, I'd have to pick like the species.
You can't allude to the species.
But it's not a species, it's a design of a thing.
Okay, fine.
So that's what I would do.
Uh-oh, evil genie.
I might just be like, you know what, I'm screwed anyway. Fuck you, I want your job.
That would work. So yeah, I'm going for
I wish I had your job and you were making the wish!
Oh.
And I could screw you over for eternity!
That's true, you could. That would work, actually.
Maybe. Who knows? I'm sure he would twist it. He's got 10,000 years experience.
Yeah. What about, I want you to stop being a miserable piece of shit. Forever.
Yeah. Well, it's going to ultimately...
Twist
it. So. No, well, it has to end in a TF.
It does have to end in a TF.
So I could be a genie.
That's true. Okay.
He's going to put me in, like, the stupidest lamp.
Probably. The other question we have is from Professor Scritch. It's a two-parter. So, say you had to undergo a character TF. For example, a transformation into a well-known cartoon character, and the end result would be a merging of your two personalities. The first part of this question is, what character would you pick if the goal was to choose a character most consistent with your own personality
that's cool.
to ease the transition? And then the second part is, what character would you pick if instead the goal was to supplement aspects of your own personality with characteristics you wish you had?
I like this question.
Do you want to go first?
I can't think of anybody for myself right this second.
Okay.
Okay, Zil, you first then.
Okay, fine, I'll go first. So if I had to pick one that was most consistent with my own personality, hardy har, I know it's gonna sound rote. I'm gonna pick Ratchet.
Yeah, wow.
I mean, wow, big fucking
Surprise.
surprise.
No, it could. I don't know. It could have been Rivet. Honestly,
Yeah, I guess that's true.
it could have been.
It could have been. But no, I think I would pick Ratchet, specifically because a lot of his character development in the PS3, the PS3 and 5 games really focus on, like, he has a lot of self-doubts, he has a lot of anxiety, there's, like, a lot of stuff that I actually map very closely onto. There's, like, a lot of queer themes. There's a lot that I identify with and I think is pretty similar to my personality. He also takes no shit. So, yeah, I would pick him for, like, most consistent with mine. If I had to pick one to, like, supplement aspects of my own personality that I wish I had, that one's a little bit harder, but I think I would probably go with Garrus. I just like him a lot. He's sexy space husbando. I don't know what else to say. Like, there's a lot I idealize about him, and I think there's a lot to admire about his character, particularly in the entire arc. So, yeah, I'd pick Garrus.
Okay. Cameron, did you think of anything yet?
I'm tossing around a couple things in my head.
All right, I'll give you more time by giving my answer then.
Okay.
So, this will be the trite one. Nobody else has been in my house who's listening. Knuckles is everywhere.
Knuckles
for a reason.
Is everywhere.
I'm a big Sonic fan. Knuckles is my favorite, and Knuckles has resonated with me a lot because he's the one who's, quick to anger, things like that. I felt like that's very me, especially growing up. I have a really hot temper, but Knuckles is a character who is who's feeling like he's just kind of left in the dust and kind of jerked around by somebody who's liked more. So I guess he's got his own sort of like troubles with other people. And also in like more recent stories and stuff like that, he's grown to just, I don't know, he's pretty self-assured. And although, he's not perfect like everybody else, he's very important. And I like that his abilities actually are, I like that what he can do is betrayed by the fact that he seems just kind of like a dumb, angry guy. When the fact is that Sonic the God Killer could be taken out of his God-killing mode by being surprise punched by this guy.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Cool.
Yeah. And I love that about him. And I like that he's kind of like just assured that he can just punch his way out of things. And he actually is clever. That's the reason Sonic got taken advantage of. Not advantage of, but Sonic got jerked around when he first showed up was because Knuckles, also kind of like Batman, he knows everything about the island. Sonic didn't know shit. So Knuckles was able to screw with Sonic a bunch, even though Sonic had to persevere in spite of all that.
Yeah.
And getting punched in the face as a god killer.
Yeah.
So, Knuckles, I think, would be a perfect fit for me. If I had to pick a character to supplement parts of my personality with, and this is dangerous, but it would be Dr. Doom.
I knew you were going to say that. I fucking knew you were going to say that.
Do you know what my second answer was? Come on, say it.
Guts from Berserk.
Yes.
Yeah, see.
But the problem with Guts is that he's still exploring himself. But Dr. Doom, people don't read up on him as much as I have, and I'm sure there's other superfans out there that make me look like a fucking blithering idiot. But Doom is somebody who won't betray the fact that he can fail and fuck up and that he can kind of regret things that he's done. He's a bitter guy with really great ideas, but the fact that he's so confident and arrogant is something that has also taken him to godhood and back. And he's still somebody who can make or break universes. And he's just a guy in armor who learned a lot of shit. And I think that's awesome. I think having parts of him in me could be worth the risk.
I've seen so little of Berserk, but the stuff you've shown me is not worth any risk. It looks horrifying.
Oh, I could... Oh, God.
I don't want to see more.
So what have you settled on?
Okay, I think I got it.
I think Spider-Man is my first answer.
Okay.
Because I'm nerdy and poor, and I just want to help people, and I don't always know the best way to go about it. But I feel like I really developed, at least in the past couple of years, like a big compassion and empathy and just wanting to try to help people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I think one thing I would like to... Neither of my answers are going to be like a cool TF at all.
That's fine.
But for the second part of the question, maybe Samurai Jack.
Oh,
okay.
Because I feel like what I lack most is diligence and perseverance. I have a very hard time with discipline and like sitting down and committing and forcing myself to do things. I tend to just distract myself away from it and never doing it.
That's ADHD, baby.
Maybe. And I think that he has a great ability to stay calm all the time.
Mm.
And I think that would be very useful for me. I'm getting better, but
yeah,
I think that would be useful.
No, I think those are great.
Plus, like,
yeah,
fucking jump super high.
Yeah.
Jump good, baby.
Jump good.
Jump good.
All right. I appreciate that question.
Yeah, that was a really fun
That was a very... Thank you, Professor Scritch.
Yeah.
Well, that was all the questions we had. I don't know if you have any questions for us,
You
Cameron.
just had questions for us throughout the...
Well, and maybe he has more. I don't know.
I don't.
You're sure you don't?
Okay. You have to turn into one of the EVs. Your middle choice. Your middle
My middle choice.
And you can't use stones or Pokeballs. What are you doing?
So I have to pick the trigger,
You have to
too?
pick your middle list, and you have to pick the trigger.
Okay.
Oh. Okay.
The
The most
my
middle
God.
would be... Okay, so going away from the ones that I like to the
I
ones
can tell
that I
mine.
don't. Yeah, okay, you first then.
My mid pick is Vaporeon.
All right.
Vaporeon's solidly mid for me. And in terms of a trigger, I'm going to go with the classic of I was in a pool too long and there was something in that pool. I don't know what it was. And now I got a tail that's pushing down my swim trunks and oh no.
Just drink him, damn it.
Yeah, that's what I should
Drinking
do.
a Vaporeon.
Yeah.
I have to do the math on my hand.
Okay, the most
mid.
9.
The most mid. Fuck, man.
It's tough.
It's tough because I'm trying to accurately weigh this, and I don't know, maybe I shouldn't overthink it. So, if I had to pick, I guess it would have to be... I guess it'll be Umbreon. And I know that seems like the counter pick, but I'm really thinking, like, which one do I just kind of, like, meh at?
That's
and
great.
I'm like,
I endorse it, honestly. That's really
I was like, because like, it has to be the one, it can't be one that I dislike either,
exactly.
you know? I certainly don't dislike Umbreon.
Yeah.
I'm a little curious about it, but also I'm just kind of like, well...
That's the only one you've drawn.
I'd much rather... Well, that's the story behind that is I saw somebody drew a thing, and I thought, there's a lot of potential in that idea, and I want to see it, so I did one. Turns out people really like it.
It was really good.
so enjoy. But yeah, it would be Umbreon. My trigger is that I'd be looking through the Pokédex and thinking about all their designs and the way they look, and just be like, you know what, this one's okay. Oh, fuck.
Yeah, you're sitting there like half
Yeah.
TF looking at it like, yeah, this one's kind of okay, I guess.
Yep.
Ah, fuck.
I am now adequate.
That's great. I love that. I love
Adequate
that
for
you.
my taste. And I'll have you coming around like, oh my god, I want to pet you so bad. And I'm like, I can't properly speak to tell you how I gotta fucking learn to deal with this for however long.
I would pet you.
Spite petting. Okay, yeah, so there you go. That's what would happen.
Yeah, I think mine's Eevee.
That's fair.
I don't count Eevee at all. It hasn't evolved. It's not a illusion of anything.
I don't know what the trigger is, but I want it to be that it was meant for Lack Eevee.
Oh,
and it got it to me, because I've done that once before to him, and it's too fun.
That's very funny.
So, give me your Everstone, whatever. It's mine now.
I'm
you.
Amazing.
I hope you hear this.
Oh, man. Well, thank you so much, Cameron, for coming on to the Too Fucking Tired podcast. If people are looking for you, where can they find you?
I don't know. It's too good. In bed.
We'll put your socials on where other people
I'm around, whatever.
Yeah.
Curious Fox. Look for that, and
on Twitter or Blue Sky or Furfinity.
and you'll know it when you see nice art.
Yeah, that's very well done anatomy.
I'm gonna be in club bed.
Club bed. I support this.
Yep. So just wanted to let you know that this episode is brought to you by sleep. If you're if you're tired, please make sure go to sleep. Recommended use for at least 8 hours.
Just treat yourself. You're an adult now. You can give yourself an early bed as a gift. It's amazing.
I'm no longer asking. I'm no longer asking.
You take pillow, put for the slep.
Yeah. Do the slep.
Sleep timber.
Slep the snap.
Sleep timber.
Slep timber, snap timber.
Yeah. Check out Patreon and like, share, subscribe, all that shit.
Alright guys, I'm here with my friend Kay Libra, and we're asking you to like, share, and subscribe. Smash that button! Smash that button!
Ring that bell!
Insane, man! That's insane!
I've tried a ukulele.
Oh, man. If you want to eat some... Oh, God.
And with that, I think we're going to all go to bed. So thank you, everyone. I hope you enjoyed listening to this. Have a great week. Stay TFy. Keep an open mind.
10:30.
Yeah, whatever. It's fine. We love you all. Thank you.
Good night, everybody. Maybe.